Imagine a global stage where billions of people are the audience. Giant corporations like Apple, Google, and Amazon are the main actors. And governments from Washington to Brussels are merely supporting actors reinforcing authority. However, backstage, deep in the shadows, there are two unnamed, unseen figures. Yet they are the ones who decide what music is played, which actors shine, and who will be eliminated from the game. These are BlackRock and Vanguard, the two invisible conductors of the global financial symphony. No one elected them, and most of the world doesn't even know they exist. Welcome to Economic Story Channel, where we explore economic and financial stories around the world. While the media is busy telling stories about Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, BlackRock and Vanguard have quietly extended their financial tentacles into every corner of the world economy. They don't produce electric cars, nor do they launch satellites into space. They simply own everything, from leading technology companies to pharmaceutical corporations, media, banks, agriculture, and defense. No industry is beyond their reach. BlackRock currently manages over $11 trillion in assets, while Vanguard is approximately $8 trillion, enough to surpass the GDP of any country except the US and China. However, what makes them truly dangerous is not just their enormous assets, but the invisible power veiled in silence. In a world where media and power are intertwined, those who control both will not need to appear on the front page. They are the ones who edit those front pages. BlackRock and Vanguard are not only behind investment decisions, but also behind the narratives that shape public perception. It is precisely because of this silence that they become terrifying. What is too big to fail is often also too big to expose. So the question arises, if tech giants are merely pawns and governments are just chess pieces, then who is holding the chessboard? Are BlackRock and Vanguard truly the final bosses in the modern global financial model, where money, data, and power do not need to be flaunted, only controlled in silence? Absurd assets, power beyond comprehension. If power can be measured by assets, then BlackRock and Vanguard are not ordinary financial companies. They are superpowers. The total value of assets managed by these two organizations is over $19 trillion, a figure beyond the imagination of most of humanity. To put it simply, this figure is not only larger than the GDP of Germany, Japan, India, or the UK, but it even exceeds the combined gross domestic product of nearly 150 other countries. In a world where finance is the bloodstream, coordinating all political, technological, medical, and even media activities, the power hidden deep within these enormous money vaults clearly cannot be underestimated. BlackRock currently manages over $11 trillion, while Vanguard controls over $8.1 trillion, according to data updated as of the end of 2022. Combined, the assets of these two financial behemoths are more than twice the total market capitalization of leading global tech companies such as Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, and Meta combined. These names, once considered symbols of the 21st century, the giants of Silicon Valley, suddenly appear small and dependent when placed alongside BlackRock and Vanguard. Because there is a chilling truth. BlackRock and Vanguard are the largest shareholders of all the aforementioned names. They don't need to invent technology. They don't need to engage in massive media campaigns. They just need to own. And when they own enough, they control both the policy decisions and the development trajectory of companies purported to be leading humanity's future. We are talking about organizations not bound by election cycles, not accountable to voters, and not appearing in national debates, yet they hold the destiny of nations. When a company can own trillions of dollars in assets, is capable of influencing global financial markets, and if it collapses, it could cause a domino effect leading to a major crisis, then that organization has crossed all boundaries of a normal business. They are no longer an asset management company. They have become a shadow government, operating with money as their sole tool. The U.S. government, with all its power and influence, currently carries a national debt of approximately $31.6 trillion, and half of that, over $15 trillion, is the scale at which BlackRock and Vanguard operate. In a world where money is power and power creates the rules, these two organizations are the rule makers. They don't need to appear in public or win elections because they own the winners. The question is no longer whether they have power, but who can control that power. When financial regulators fear that the collapse of one of these two funds will cause an effect equivalent to the Lehman Brothers collapse in 2008, but on a global and irrecoverable scale, then we are no longer talking about a market risk, but a true geopolitical threat. Not weapons, not armies, but enormous invisible capital flows are redrawing the world's power map. In the shadows, BlackRock and Vanguard don't need to be kings. They just need to lend money to the king, own the kingdom's lands, and decide the fate of the subjects with clicks on an asset dashboard. And when everything can be sold, including truth, media, and even the future, then those who control the flow of money are truly the ultimate masters of the modern world order. Aladdin, the magic lamp of financial surveillance. In the world of money, data, and ultimate power, BlackRock possesses a weapon that no government, central bank, or intelligence agency can match. That is Aladdin. Behind a name seemingly out of 1001 Nights, Aladdin is not a cunning boy rescuing a princess, but a super artificial intelligence system, a secret, sophisticated, and most powerful financial data center in the world. It doesn't grant wishes, it predicts the future. And in BlackRock's hands, Aladdin is the modern magic lamp of global financial surveillance. Aladdin is operated by 6,000 servers working continuously in the mountainous area of Wenatchee, Washington. Here, the cool air not only preserves the servers, but also keeps secrets that could shake the entire financial world. Aladdin is not just a calculation tool. It is an artificial brain that coordinates over $21 trillion in global assets, double the assets BlackRock itself manages. Central banks, pension funds, financial institutions, multinational corporations from Apple, Microsoft to Alphabet all rely on Aladdin's algorithms and forecasts to make investment decisions. In a volatile world where every tweet can cause tens of billions of dollars in market capitalization to plummet, Aladdin not only records data, but absorbs every movement from exchange rates, interest rates, commodity fluctuations, political crises, natural disasters, epidemics, and even potential geopolitical conflicts. Over 50 years of global financial historical data is fed into this system, and it continuously updates, simulating millions of different scenarios to provide BlackRock and its clients with a near-prophetic ability regarding risks and opportunities. Aladdin helps BlackRock do the unthinkable, turn uncertainty into profit. While traditional financial institutions still face forecasting errors, BlackRock, thanks to Aladdin, can restructure investment portfolios in seconds, optimize risk at a macroeconomic scale, and react before the market even realizes what is happening. That is no longer analysis. It is market coordination through exclusive information. But Aladdin's power does not stop at the technological aspect. It is the clearest symbol of a new model of power, where whoever controls data controls the future. BlackRock not only knows every fluctuation of the world's largest assets, but they actually know in advance. And when you know things others don't, you no longer need to manipulate the market. You are the market. The financial world often refers to the concept of systemic risk as a natural disaster. But in reality, systems like Aladdin are redefining that concept. When a private entity owns a financial surveillance system more powerful than any central bank, when the investment decisions of hundreds of other organizations depend on the same algorithm, then even a small error in Aladdin could cause a global domino effect. A mistaken click, or worse, a deliberate intervention, would cost trillions of dollars in losses worldwide. And no one would know where it originated. That is the most terrifying thing. Invisible power. No one elected Aladdin. No one can oversee how it makes decisions. No committee, no parliament can summon it for questioning. And BlackRock, the owner of this magic lamp, has become the guardian of a financial knowledge system that cannot be controlled, cannot be replaced. If information is power, then BlackRock with Aladdin in hand is the largest financial data monopoly the world has ever seen. The dual ownership strategy, not just owning, but co-owning each other. In modern finance, power is no longer about holding one company, but about holding stakes in all companies simultaneously. And this is what BlackRock and Vanguard have done perfectly, smoothly, and almost silently. They are not only the largest shareholders in most of the world's most influential corporations, from Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook to Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and hundreds of other transnational corporations, but they are also each other's largest shareholders. This cross-management structure is not simply an investment coincidence. It is a large-scale power ownership technique, so sophisticated that financial regulators cannot even pinpoint who is truly controlling whom. According to public records, BlackRock consistently ranks among the top 3 largest shareholders of most of the world's largest listed companies, and Vanguard is no different. But what is noteworthy is that BlackRock holds shares in Vanguard, and conversely, Vanguard holds shares in BlackRock. A perfect loop where all power is locked within a separate ecosystem. No outsider can intervene here. This intertwined shareholding structure has completely neutralized the concept of competition, which is the theoretical pillar of capitalism. Imagine a chess game where every pawn, knight, and bishop is controlled by the same person. On the surface, tech companies compete and innovate, pharmaceutical companies race to launch products, and automotive tech companies engage in relentless rivalry. However, behind the scenes, BlackRock and Vanguard quietly collect money from all of them, controlling every board of directors, influencing every long-term strategy. They don't need to win a war because they own all the combatants. The deeper one goes into the system, the more one senses a chilling truth. The market doesn't truly operate freely. Our buying and selling decisions, our seemingly individual choices have all been predetermined, because every stream of profit ultimately flows to the same place. And thus, what is called competitive diversity is merely a grand performance staged to maintain the illusion of choice. In a world where every playing field is controlled by the same group, the rules are just decorations. Disguised monopoly, the end of competition, the beginning of a new generation monopoly. If competition is the soul of a free market, then BlackRock and Vanguard have stripped that soul from the global financial playing field. Let's consider some prominent examples. These 2 corporations are simultaneously the largest shareholders of Coca-Cola and PepsiCo, 2 eternal rivals in the beverage industry. They hold significant stakes in Boeing and Airbus, the 2 main competitors in the global aviation industry. Even in the technology sector, BlackRock and Vanguard own a majority of shares in Facebook, Google, Apple, and Microsoft, 4 names considered the 4 pillars competing fiercely in the digital age. This has created a completely new model, dual monopoly. Nominally, consumers still have many choices. They drink Pepsi or Coca-Cola. They fly on Boeing or Airbus planes. They use Apple or Android. But all paths lead back to the same group of shareholders. This means that profits, regardless of the choice, still flow into the pockets of BlackRock and Vanguard. We think we have the power to choose, but in reality, we are choosing between 2 products of the same owner. This is no longer competition. It is market coordination through indirect ownership. The economic consequences of this model are alarming. When competing companies essentially belong to the same ownership group, there will be no real incentive to lower prices, improve quality, or enhance services. Why compete fiercely when profits ultimately return to common shareholders? The economic incentive mechanism is distorted, and the ultimate loser is always the consumer. Every pricing strategy, marketing campaign, or research investment, however seemingly different, serves only one goal: to optimize profits for a centrally controlled group. But the consequences are not limited to economics. They extend to society and politics. When every major media channel, every digital platform, every global supply chain is controlled by a few entities, economic power sooner or later becomes the power to shape thought. When innovation is no longer a matter of survival, but merely a gimmick for attention, creativity is commercialized, and freedom of choice becomes a form of social deception. We are living in a world where financial tycoons don't need to appear on camera, don't need to post on social media, and don't need to run for office. They just need to own. And the more they own, the more they redefine the concept of competition, turning every competitor into an actor in the same meticulously staged play. In this new generation of monopoly, there are no winners or losers, only controllers and the controlled majority. And when choice is an illusion, then freedom is merely a dream under the false moonlight of the global financial market. Invisible power, manipulating media and public perception. In an era where information is more precious than gold, controlling the flow of information means controlling the perception and thinking of society as a whole. And no one executes this more subtly than BlackRock and Vanguard. These two financial entities not only manipulate global capital, but also deeply embed themselves in international media empires. While most of the public still thinks that the media is the fourth estate, independent and mutually controlling, a chilling truth is, those who control capital also own the machines that produce information. BlackRock and Vanguard are major shareholders in CNN, CBS, Fox News, Disney, Comcast, Gannett, Graham Media Group, corporations that own hundreds of television channels, online newspapers, radio stations, and print newspapers with global influence. From economic commentaries on CNN, financial news on Fox News, to blockbuster movies from Disney or documentary series from National Geographic, the traces of these two corporations are hidden behind every piece of content produced, edited, and distributed. They don't need to stand in front of the camera. They just need a seat on the shareholders board, and they can decide who appears on camera and what content will be broadcast. This leads to a paradox. The more powerful BlackRock and Vanguard become, the more invisible they are in mass media. They don't appear on the front page, are not scrutinized, not exposed. The reason is simple. They own the very apparatus that is supposed to oversee them. When major media corporations are operated under the financial power of those who should be scrutinized, then independent journalism becomes merely an eroded concept. Worse, their power is not just their absence from the news, but their ability to shape the narrative being told. They control not only what is said, but also what is never spoken of. In a closed-loop financial feedback model where capital controls content, content shapes public opinion, and public opinion reinforces capital flow. We no longer live in a free media ecosystem, but a stage theater where every thought, every emotion of the public can become a product profitable for shareholders. And that is when silence becomes the most terrifying sign of power. Borderless investment empire, from Canada to Mexico, from oil and gas to healthcare. Nominally, BlackRock and Vanguard are global investors. But when investments cross corporate boundaries, penetrating national infrastructure, social welfare, and public policy, the line between legitimate investment and building a parallel government begins to blur and become dangerously ambiguous. What these two financial giants are doing is no longer asset management, but shaping how a nation operates through money. Let's start with Canada. Its government has partnered with BlackRock to establish the Canada Infrastructure Bank (CIB), an entity ostensibly aimed at financing strategic economic development projects. However, independent investigations and community criticisms indicate that the CIB does not serve the people as expected, but primarily benefits private investors, especially BlackRock itself. Instead of building public infrastructure with the goal of improving people's lives, money is managed to optimize shareholder profits, even by increasing fees, privatizing public assets, or cutting off public access. The government consents, BlackRock profits, the people pay the price. In Mexico, BlackRock delves deeper. From managing the National Pension Fund, they proceed to acquire toll roads, power plants, hospitals, oil pipelines, and even prisons. Here investment is not just financial, but also control over social life. When a foreign private company can price a surgery, a transportation trip, or a day of incarceration, their power has replaced the role of the state in many essential aspects of life. And what about Vanguard? They are less noisy than BlackRock, but no less insidious. With over 430 international investment funds spanning Europe, Asia, Africa, and Latin America, Vanguard quietly establishes a network of influence over the financial and development policies of emerging economies. Instead of direct intervention, they indirectly exert influence through investment direction, shareholding structure, and impact on risk ratios. From there, they compel governments to adjust policies to appear more attractive to investors. So the bigger question is, when a financial institution can decide whether a country should build bridges or cut subsidies, privatize hospitals or raise interest rates, is that still investment or already political manipulation? When the state begins to operate for the satisfaction of shareholders rather than for the benefit of the people, we are entering a new era where capitalism not only does business, but is rewriting the global political power structure. And in that era, BlackRock and Vanguard are not just investors. They are the government in the shadows, requiring no elections, no constitution, but only ownership. From big pharma to big money, profiting from human health and life. In debates about healthcare crises, people often criticize big pharma corporations for manipulating drug prices, concealing side effects, or profiting from human suffering. But few ask, who is behind big pharma? Who truly benefits most from the instability of the global healthcare system? The cold and clear answer: BlackRock and Vanguard, the two hidden figures, the two most powerful shareholders in the world's pharmaceutical industry. Both BlackRock and Vanguard are leading shareholders of Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and Merck, three of the largest pharmaceutical corporations in the U.S. They don't manufacture drugs, don't conduct clinical trials, don't bear legal risks, yet they receive billions of dollars annually from dividends. When pharmaceutical companies raise drug prices, expand market share, or secure tens of billions of dollars in vaccine supply contracts from governments, most of the profits flow back into the pockets of shareholders like BlackRock and Vanguard, not to researchers or hospitals. Numbers don't lie. In 2000, the total dividends paid by pharmaceutical corporations to shareholders was $30 billion. By 2018, this figure had risen to $146 billion, nearly 5 times more. This enormous increase did not come from charity or improved healthcare quality, but from maximizing fear, illness, and the need for survival. People thought they were paying for medicine, but in reality, they were paying for the super profitable investments of the financial elite. And so, health is no longer a right, but a financial product. Every pill, every vaccine dose, every medical device is merely a means for these two invisible financial empires to increase their return on investment. In that model, people are no longer patients, but liquid capital, optimized down to the last penny. Conclusion: BlackRock and Vanguard are not just investment funds. They are the architects of the global financial order. When every business, media outlet, hospital, and even national pensions are in their hands, economic democracy is just an illusion. The final question: who can oversee those who are overseeing? And who will control the invisible powers shaping the world?